We thought we could play a little game called KC or SF, breaking down each little squad. It's pretty simple, guys. I'll give you a category. Use these bad boys to pick the team that has the advantage in that specific category.
Let's do it. All right.
Guys, game?
Yeah, let's do it.
First topic, run game. Which team do you think has the better run game headed into Super Bowl 54?
I've been hyping up the Damian Williams thing as hard as I can, and I do think that he is a sneaky MVP candidate just because he scores so many touchdowns. But like this is an incredible thing. I love Damian Williams. This run game, not only how good they are, how efficient they are, how weird they are and how creative they are. I've never seen anything like it. I got to go San Francisco.
And how committed they are. To me, it's that Kyle Shanahan is willing to tell Jimmy Garoppolo, you're going to throw the ball 8 times in the NFC Championship game, but we're going to win. And Jimmy's saying, yep, that sounds about right. Mostert went for 220 and 3 touchdowns in an NFC Championship game. And, I mean, that is insane what he did, and he might be doing it again in the playoffs if the Chiefs' defense isn't ready to stop him. I'm going to say San Francisco by a landslide on here. That thing will keep me up at night if I'm Steve Spagnuolo.
And how unheralded they are. And I think unfamiliar at one point where we were watching the San Francisco running backs. It's like, all right, we're familiar with Breida. He's pretty good. We got a couple puns on his name. He's flowing like Breida water.
Sure.
And Tevin Coleman comes from Atlanta. And you're like, all right, that's a pretty good pickup. What happened to Jet McKinnon? We don't really know. Who is this Mostert dude? Oh, he's a backup running back. He gets the garbage points, right? And all of a sudden he has this explosion in the postseason.
Nate, are you about to flip? I know your tone sometimes.
No. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it because I love their story. I love the fact that we didn't know them, and now we do. And you mentioned Damian Williams as a sneaky candidate for MVP. Yeah. Like, could there ever be a split MVP?
3 ways?
Yeah. Edge, or if there's a couple of healthy running backs and they just go for
We've seen a couple co-MVPs.
You know what I mean? Like,
not bad.
This is a group that can win it. I think that's my sneaky black horse MVP, that 2 guys out of this backfield will end up being voted MVP of the Super Bowl.
That's kind of cool.
Deebo Samuel can run too, so I like to put him in that little rotation. It gets messy.
Emmanuel Sanders can run.
And company. Next up, let's talk matchups. Which team has the tougher defensive matchup ahead of them in Miami?
I think it's these guys, strangely enough, because the Niners D obviously has the work cut out for him. Mahomes is crazy, but these guys don't know what's coming. There's an element of the unknown. As powerful as the Mahomes attack is, I think we know what time it is. They're going to throw it. They're fast as hell. I don't know what Shanahan's cooking up. Schrager's hit it over and over. 2 weeks break, all into the playbook. I don't know how they're coming out the first drive, and neither of these guys. Huge challenge.
Okay, for me, I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. You know, of course, the offense is what it is, but on the flip side, when you talk about who has the biggest challenge, that's what you're asking. I feel like they got to answer a couple of guys that are ready to rock and roll. Tyrann Mathieu, he's talking, but he's a little more reserved than the old Honey Badger days. But I love the fact that he's locked in, focused. He's kind of like the young OG now. But Frank Clark, the way that he's talking, the way that he is just putting it out there.
Go on.
He got a different type of mentality over the course of this postseason. I'm going with San Francisco looking at Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu, and the playmakers on the KC defense.
Can you game plan against one thing with the Niners?
Yeah, you can game plan.
Can you take away their run?
Yeah, you're going to have to. I think that's the game plan. If you're KC, take away the run and see if Jimmy can beat you.
On the ground, 4 through the air.
What are we talking about, guys? We're talking about Patrick Mahomes, who just put 28 points in 3 minutes against the Texans and then just rattled off
2 weeks to prepare for Shanahan, Peter.
Are you kidding me? Do you guys realize what Mahomes and Tyreek and Sammy and DeMarcus Robinson and, they've got Kelsey. This Chiefs offense, I mean, I like the greatest show on turf. It's really fun watching this KC offense. They might be in the conversation. To me, San Francisco, for all their accolades on defense, this to me is a tougher matchup. How the heck do we stop this? Because in the last 7 weeks, no one has.
But the Chiefs are going to throw, right? So at least you know that. You're saying it doesn't matter if they know that. They're going to do it anyway.
They do it every time. Everyone's known they're going to throw.
You're not wrong. Moving on, I want to look at the guys on these sidelines. Which team has the better coaching staff, the one whose schemes and game plans should frighten the opposition the most?
I'll jump right in with KC, and it starts with Andy Reid and then Eric Bieniemy. You know, we don't talk about that combination enough. It's like they remixed their offense. As soon as they figure out what they wanted to do with Pat Mahomes after Alex Smith, they went and they said, listen, we're going to build this team on speed. We're not really going to chip about running the ball. Bill Cowher sat down with Andy Reid, and he was like, hey, Andy, come on, man, just run the ball. And Andy kind of looked back and I'm like, I don't need to, fam. I got enough horses on the outside, so I'm going with KC.
This is tough for me. These are 2 teams. I know all the coaches on both staffs, and I think San Francisco, when you talk about You got Shanahan, you got Saleh, you got Richard Hightower, the special teams coach. Then you go position group by position group. There are rock stars for this team. Mike LaFleur and Mike McDaniel both are going to get head coaching interviews in the next couple of years. You go down the list. Wes Welker and Miles Austin are working with the receivers. Katie Sowers working with the wide receivers. And then you look at that defense, and from every level, they have a stud. And Chris Kocurek might be the best defensive line coach in all of football. Just depth and Shanahan's genius. I think I would take the Niners coaching staff in a one game over anyone.
I'm going to go with a deep nugget, and I credit Peter King for highlighting this man this morning. I'm going to go with the Niners running back coach, Bobby Turner. Do you know anything about this guy? This is what Super Week's all about.
Tell me.
70 years old. He is the running back coach going back 25 seasons. His whole specialty, going back to Mike Shanahan, is working with these undrafted late-round guys. You want to talk about Terrell Davis, Olandis Gary, Mike Anderson, Reuben Drones. 16 1,000-yard seasons under Bobby Turner. He is some of the engine that goes behind the Mosterts and the Breidas. When you see them running wild, it's because of that man. 70 years young, Bobby Turner.
I got to give love to a guy in KC, Steve Spagnuolo. This is a man who has shut down one of the most prolific NFL offenses that ever was in a Super Bowl, turning this entire defense around in just a year. He's been there, done that, Triggs.
Yes, he has. And Tom Brady will tell you all about that if you ask.
Next up, fan bases. A lot of passion within these two, right? You guys would agree? Chiefs,
Yeah, no doubt about it.
a lot of passionate fans. Which franchise, Triggs, has the most excited fan base?
I'm going to say the Niners won. And I know the Chiefs have 50 years of waiting, and you guys might get into that. This Niners faithful has come out in droves, and it's not that they're fair weather fans, but Niners fans are everywhere. And when the Niners are winning, you know about it. I'm talking the streets of Brooklyn, New York yesterday, Niners fans everywhere. I was on the road, Niners fans everywhere. They are a national fan base, and the reason why a lot of that is 1980s, when this whole generation was growing up on football, we didn't have a lot of ESPN and NFL Network and all that. You would watch Pat Summerall and John Madden on CBS, and that was the game. And you would have Joe Montana under center. A lot of Niners fans nationwide, I think they're going to be showing up and showing out Super Bowl 50.
Those Niners fans are used to eating well, right? They grew up eating well. What have these people been eating? Burnt ends and rib tips. I love it.
Pretty good.
They are so excited. Believe me, today in Miami is day one of what I'm calling KansaCon. I think it is so many Chiefs fans. Believe me, they are there. They also have this residual thing about, like, this is great that we're here, but we also have Patrick Mahomes. Like, the next 15 years, we're so Gucci. We love it. I think it's Chiefs fans.
I'm right there with you, KB. Listen, if you're 30, 35, 40 years old, you know what success for this team feels like. You have some memories. You're like, you know what? I was there. Kyle talks about it.
Yeah.
But if you're 40 years old, you don't know what success feels like. You only have to hear stories from your grandpa. You're like, Grandpa, can you tell me the story?
Len Dawson had a cigarette at halftime.
Exactly.
Tell me about Hank Stram articulating the ball.
Right. These guys, they want that feeling because they don't know that feeling.